يا إمام الرسل يا سندي أنت باب الله معتمدي فبدنياي وآخرتي يا رسول الله.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. After praising Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala, Malik-e Kainat, Khalik-e Kul, Badi'us Samawati wal Ard, and sending infinite peace and salutations, durood and salawat upon the best of creation, the light of humanity, the purpose of our existence. Sayyidul Awwaleen wal Akhirin, Imamul Anbiya wal Mursaleen. Huzu Jane Jana, Tajdar Madina, Rasul Akram sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Most honorable and respectable elders, brothers and sisters, lovable youngsters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. The challenges and problems that we as Muslims face in the 21st century are different from the challenges and problems that our forefathers faced when they arrived in this country. Waqat ko need to take you on a history lesson, but to summarize these issues and problems, it's very simple. There are two categories, qismain, types. The first set of problems that we face as Muslims, khastor living in the West, are in relation to i'tiqad, aqidah, preservation of faith. From every angle and direction, the faith and the iman and belief of khastor our Naujawan Nasl is being challenged and attacked. We see that over the last several years, an increase and rise in atheism and Muslims leaving Islam altogether. और ये ना समझो इमाम साहब कोलू गाल कढ़ने. Statistically speaking, 2018 MCB statistics, Muslim Council of Britain, where they mentioned that 10,000 Muslims left Islam in that year. मैं इस बात का जिम्मेदार हूं. So where on one hand we have Islam, the fastest growing religion in the world, on the other hand we have these issues and problems which are being brushed under the carpet. Atheism on the rise, and this common trend which is developing, should I say, I'm trying to use the right words here without offending anyone. आजकल लोग very sensitive है ना. गल करो तो oh मौलवी बड़ा डाडा जी. So without offending anyone, we have this trend which is developing where everyone is fine. Sare theekan. Muslims are fine, Sikhs are fine, Buddhists are fine, Christians and Jews are fine. Sare theekan ji. तो कोई लोग इस तरीके नाल इस हद तक चले जाने that everyone will be in Jannat. Baba, if this was the case, then what is the meaning and the purpose of the आमद of Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam? यानी हुजूर का आमद का एक मकसद भी है ना. قل جاء الحق وزهق الباطل إن الباطل كان زهوقا. So we have this as well. I mean, within our communities, ये जो liberal Muslims है ना, university जाने वाले, पढ़े लिखे हुए, 21st century Muslims, सारे ठीक हैं जी. Don't say anything to anyone. Ye nahi pata inna ad-deena indallahil Islam bas. That the only religion according to Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala is the religion of Islam bas. And then we've got issues and problems within our own Jama'at. If I open this box, Pandora's box, तो मेरा पूरा टाइम इतना ही पूरा ही जैसी, मेरा टाइम इतना ही पूरा ही जैसी. Where we find a growing rise of Shi'i influence, Rafizis and Tafzilis, polluting and infiltrating the Sunni Awam and Jama'at. ठीक है ना? ये एक तरफ और दूसरी तरफ नासिबियत और खारिजियत. मेरी बात समझिए ना? Some people who will praise and honor the Ahlul Bayt Athhar, but insult and criticize the Sahaba Karam. ऐसे लोग हैं ना हमारे माशरे में. और इसी तरीके से others who will praise and honor the Sahaba Karam, but they will insult and they will attack the Ahlul Bayt Athhar, the Azim Garana of Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are two extremes. The way of the Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah is clear. Like I mentioned last week, like I'll mention today, like I'll continue mentioning until my last breath, that we are those individuals who love and honor the Ahlul Bayt Athhar, and we love and honor the Ashab-e Rasul as well. और वजह क्या है? वजह ये है is because of their nisbat, their connection with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. क्यों? गल सारी सरकार दी है ना. गल सारी, बोलो बोलो, गल सारी, everything is about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Bas. And we honor the Sahaba Karam because of their nisbat, their connection with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we honor the Ahlul Bayt Athhar because of their nisbat and connection with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. क्यों? गल सारी सरकार. Acha. This is third set of problems within this first category related to i'tiqad, issues and problems in relation to the preservation of our aqidah. And I've said this for a number of years now, and this is becoming more and more apparent as each and every day passes, that one of the, if not the greatest challenge in the 21st century is the preservation of Sahihul Aqidah. This is not dismissing the second set of problems that I'm going to come to. But ये मेरा एक अपना नजरिया है ना, मेरी अपनी एक सोच है. And then the fourth one, yani the first atheism and rise of atheism. Second, perennialism, if that is the correct pronunciation, and how everyone is right and it doesn't matter, don't say anyone is wrong. And then third set within this first category was what? The rise of Rafiziyat and Kharijiyat. And then the fourth set of issues and problems within i'tiqad is the influence of the Qadianis. Do not underestimate their influence and how they are infiltrating the minds of our youth. Colleges may, universities may, workplaces may. And I said this in the podcast, the last podcast before Imam Sahib flew out, sects in Islam. That you know what they've gonna do? Official Qadiani Ahmadiyya Instagram page, YouTube channel. They've taken that clip out. Barelvi Maulvi Ahneji, Ahmadis and Qadianis are doing great work. We're saying work in the sense of infiltrating the minds of the masses. The understanding in relation to the Qadianis is clear, that the Qadianis are kafir. They are, bolo bolo, they are, sharminda nahi hona, they are what? Kafir, lanatis. मैं उस तरफ जाना ही ना चाहना. If you don't like my tone of voice, then fine, so be it. But ये वो कब्र विच भी पता लग सी ना, हश्र ने दिन पर पता लग सी, कौन जीता है कौन? Allahu Akbar. Acha, these are one set of problems. This is just building up to what I actually want to discuss. The second set of problems, those of you who are walking in now, my opening statement was what? That the challenges and the problems that we as Muslims face in the West in the 21st century are different from the challenges and problems that our forefathers faced when they came into this country in the 60s and 70s predominantly. And we mentioned that the first set of issues and problems are related to i'tiqad. And like I said, for too long we've been brushing these problems under the carpet. These issues and problems have to be discussed. They have to be challenged. And jawabat and answers have to be given to them. Khas taur in relation to i'tiqad, wo ta bunyad hai na. Aqidah is the bunyad and the foundation of everything. A'mal, af'al, deeds and actions come after. Aqidah is first and foremost. Aqidah is primary. Lekin, second set of problems and issues that we face as Muslims living in the West is in relation to social illnesses. It had about lammi list na. What our youngsters unfortunately are caught up in. Different youth who are caught up in different social illnesses and problems. Let me mention a few just to get you thinking. And again, these challenges and these problems can only be tackled through Mimbar-e-Rasul. They can only be tackled through Mimbar-e-Rasul first and foremost. Nabi Islam ka dawr o zamana. Nabi Islam didn't just teach the Sahaba Ikram how to pray 5 times a day. Nabi Islam didn't just teach the Sahaba Ikram how to perform ablution, how to fast in the month of Ramadan. आजकल लोग कहने मौलवी साहब ना बस ये काम है 5 वक्त नमाज पढ़ाना और लोगों की समझाना तो उस अलावा जो मौलवी साहब को गल छेरन उन्होंने को who gives them the right to say anything ये नहीं पता नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम on Mimbar Rasul spoke about siyasat. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam on Mimbar Rasul spoke about those who were mazloom, those who were oppressed in his dawr o zamana. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave knowledge of the unseen, ilm al-ghaib, to the Sahaba Ikram, ilm ma kana wa ma yakun. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam spoke about the social illnesses and problems in Al-Madinatul Munawwara in that time, as well as prophesizing the illness and problems that the Muslims would face in the coming generations. So what the ulama, warithin of the Anbiya do today is do amal upon sunnat Rasul. But social illnesses and problems, illicit relationships, boyfriend and girlfriend culture developing amongst our youth, where we find the sadly and unfortunately youngsters who go, and I generalize here, naraz nahi hona, I generalize here, if the shoe fits, it fits, that we find today, brother not over here please, this is a fire exit, you're okay, tusa ta us taraf chale jao. If I can ask nobody else to come into the main hall, je boo zok or shokes in the main hall which bani to pehle achho na, and par achin jise chairman sahab hone na, Raja sahab ta sare pichhe ho asa gaya baisa, boo zok or shokes to pehle achna si na, un pichle ala vich bhi ho ja, jini library vich bhi ho ja, reception vich bhi ho, jithe jagah mili jaye. Hafiz Asad, if I can ask you to kindly direct the people into the back halls. Je boo zok or shok hai, main hall vich bani na, time par achho. Baral, keri gal karana sa? Oh, me pata, I know what I'm talking about. I'm just seeing whether you're listening. Bole hona hona. Boyfriend, the girlfriend culture amongst our youth. Puri puri raat baithe rehne ji, ghair mahram aurat nal guftagu karne rehne Again, I generalize here. तो ये समझो ना, सोचो ना, क्या ये कोई जायज है, halal है? That's somebody's daughter, that's somebody's sister that you're talking to, that you're leading on. और आजकल इतनी बेगैरती और बेहयाई, चलो शुक्र है कोरोना आ गया तो थोड़ा इस तरीके का काम मठा हो गया, लेकिन उस तो पहले boy and girl walking hand in hand on the streets, ये गल है ना. And we as individuals in our community know that they are not married. But koi ghairat nahi, koi sharm nahi, koi haya nahi. So we have this issue and problem. Aur ye yaad rakho, Tirmizi Sharif ki riwayat, where two unlawful people are together and they are gathered. The third is who? Shaitan. If you really want to do right by her, be a man and go to her father and ask for her hand in marriage. एक है लारे लाने हो जी, डोंट वरी मैं शादी कर सा, तो फिर पाकिस्तान नसी जाओ। ये ना, अल्लाह अकबर। अच्छा, वक्त को नहीं टू डू वजाहत अपॉन एवरी पॉइंट। पिछले हफ्ते 2-3 बंदे नाराज हो गए, सो इमाम साहब 5 मिनट पास 2 जुमा की जमात कराई सी। तो मैं कोशिश कर सा जितना जल्दी उतना बेहतर, क्योंकि पता तो सिर्फ 2 फर्ज वास्ते ही अच्छे नहीं हो ना। कोई लोग बस 2 फर्ज पढ़ते नस हो नस, ना सुनता ना नफल ना दुआ। कोई होश इस तरीके ना शऊर रखो। पापा जी बूज हो कैचने नहीं, और 2-3 चेहरा जी ना उठ है, just move them chairs brother by your side, और जगह what you call it इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, कोई पता नहीं जो और कोई हसन बुजुर्ग है। अच्छा, फिर इस तरीके नाल we find domestic violence, तवज्जो है ना, domestic violence on the increase in our homes, and we're not just talking physical violence, also verbal as well, where husband will try to be dominant and ghalib over the wife, और आजकल 21st century का दौर है ना, wife will be dominant or try to be dominant over the husband as well, और हर इस तरीके नाल चीज उल्टा हो गया ना, everything has been turned on its head, so domestic violence is on the increase, और ये याद रखो, Islam outright condemns domestic violence. Nabi Islam never raised his hand to any of his azwaj mutahharat. Nabi Islam never struck any of his children. Nabi Islam baqaida never raised his hands to even his own ghulams and his slaves and khuddam. So Islam outright condemns domestic violence, and it has no place in Islam. Isi tarike se, what I actually wanted to touch upon, before I get there, prison population on the increase. Again, look at the statistics. Nearly 15% of the prison population in this country is of Muslims from an Asian background. Again, मैं ज़िम्मेदार to provide these statistics. जाओ अपना research करो. I've already mentioned, please don't use this area. ये fire exit है, health and safety risk है. पिछले आले में चले जाओ. Just through them doors over there. Nobody else in the main hall, please. एक बार आही हो रहा, तो बार-बार ना छेड़ो. पिछले आले में चले जाओ. Prison population on the increase, और ये हमारी नौजवान नस्ल है ना, तवज्जो है ना, these are our youngsters, our sons and daughters. जुबैर साहब इधर आई जाओ, उठे फिर तंग हो सो, ठीक है, इधर आई जाओ बस, ठीक है, प्लीज कोशिश करें करो, टाइम पर अच्छो, 5-10 मिनट पहले बंदा अच्छी जाए तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ना. अल क़वाइदु फिल मस्जिद मिन अल इबादा, that just sitting in the masjid is worship. आहो सुभान अल्लाह. सिर्फ मस्जिद में बैठना ये इबादत है. तकरीर सुनना और इस तरीके नाल नफल पढ़ना, कुरान की तिलावत करना, जिक्र और अज़कार करना, इस्तिग़फ़ार, वो बात की बात है ना. सिर्फ मस्जिद में बैठना इबादत है. बहरहाल उन 2-3 बारी I get distracted. Prison population on the increase. और जो लोग कहने नहीं, this doesn't affect me, मारे बच्चे ठीक हैं. आजकल ये भी मेंटालिटी है ना, मारे बच्चे ठीक हैं. My youngsters, my children are okay. This is the wrong mindset and mentality. Remember, famous narration, Nabi Islam said that this ummah is jasade wahid. One body. This nation, this ummah is one body. If any part of this body is affected, then the whole body suffers and is in pain. And if the arm is affected, if the head is affected, if the leg is affected, then the whole body is in pain. Ye na ho jaji, my son is fine, my daughter is fine. No. You should have this pain, this dard for the ummah. As a gal karne about liberating Palestine, helping Indian occupied Kashmiris who have been in lockdown for the last 2 years, Uyghur Muslims in China who are suffering. ऐसा सोचे पास एक स्टेटस लाई होने या फेसबुक पर, व्हाट्सएप पर इस तरीके नाल एक स्टेटस लाई होने तो बस ऐसा ना कम पूरा हो गया नहीं. If you want to really help the brothers and sisters who are suffering in Palestine, first help yourself and become that person who is regular in the Fajr Salah. ये कुरान का फैसला है, ये जज्बात की बात नहीं. इन्ना अल्लाह ला युगय्यिरु मा बिक़ौमिन हत्ता युगय्यिरु मा बिअनफुसिहिम. ये आयत कुरान है ना, that Allah Almighty says that He will not change the state of a nation until those people begin to change themselves. Apne man mein doobo. What's going on in here? Iqbal says what? Tere dil to hai sanam ashina, tujhe kya milega namaz mein? Galla karne ho? Kalandar Lahori Musawwar Pakistan, Darvesh Sialkoti says what? That in your heart are these illnesses, these diseases, hasad, kina, bughz, enmity, greed. You can't stand that next man is successful. Tujhe kya milega namaz mein? ये तो थोड़ी डीप बात हो जाती तो लोग इस तरीके ना बड़े जल्दी नाराज हो जासन लेकिन इकबाल has given us sabak here a nurture of Quran and Sunnah that if you really want to make a difference and you want to change your community and society at large, first begin by changing yourselves. अच्छा असल बयान का मकसद ये सिर्फ तमहीदी गुफ्तगू सी just to get to where I want you to get. That the biggest issue and problem in terms of social illnesses, mere nazriye mein, khas taur Bradford mein, or wherever there is a large concentration of Muslim youth in different towns and cities up and down the country, we find that drugs, kya? Drugs, huge issue and problem in our communities. Individuals who are selling drugs and those who are taking drugs. My address to those who are taking drugs, understand and know that you need guidance and support. Drugs is not the solution to your issues and problems. If you're going through difficulties and hardships, then the solution to your difficulties, your hardships, isn't that you get high or nashe mein aa jao. Rather, the solution is in the dhikr of Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. The solution is in the tilawat of the Quran. The solution is in the 5 daily prayers. The solution to your problems and issues is sending durood and salawat upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Aur 40 din vaste try karo na. Sufiya Arifin kya kehne? That if you want to get rid of a bad habit, stay away from that bad habit for how many days? 40 days. 40 days is the benchmark. Similarly, if you want to establish a good habit, a good practice, then become adi, become habitual for 40 days. और मैं आपको खुद आजमाया हुआ औलिया आरिफीन खुद इस तरीके नाल नसीहत देने 40 days is the benchmark. Stay away from that thing for 40 days and you will see how there is a change within you and how the noor of Allah Almighty will begin to enter your heart. Allahu Akbar. अच्छा ये for those who are taken and ये भी बड़ी इस तरीके नाल परेशानी और काफी अफसोस की बात है ना that today we find youngsters who normalize this. Those who smoke weed and bud and और क्या? माता नहीं पता. Marijuana or whatever, skunk, that's the one. These low-level drugs. Drug is drug, yaar. And today we find some individuals who are trying to make cannabis halal as well. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Trying to normalize these things. Not knowing that if you take these substances, these illegal substances, then you're putting your iman at risk. You're putting your mind at risk. And sadly and unfortunately, we've seen with our own eyes where brother is stoned out of his head, and because of the state that he's in, he doesn't even know and realize that his father's passed away. Na ghusl kar sakna hai, na is tariqe nal janaze vich shareek ho sakna. He doesn't even know that his father's being buried. Why? Because he's stoned out of his head. Is halat vich log aane nahi theek hai ji. Aur ye bhi sharm ki baat hai na. Father knows. Father knows that son doesn't have any source of income, but he drives a 20,000 pound car. Mother knows the daughter doesn't have any source of income, but she's got the latest handbag and designer clothing. Now moving on to those who actually deal. Walidain janne lekin khamosh rehne. Kyun kuch na kuch milna na. Jile swela bun achne na kuch is tarike nal fireplace par banana. Lafafa jo kuch hai. Sharm karo that you're putting the iman of your children at risk. Or ye is tarike mein wazih taur. For the last 2-3 days I've been rehearsing this jumla that I was going to mention to you, that these drug dealers, they are the scum of the earth. They are the scum of this earth. They are murderers. They are individuals who are ruining the lives of others. These drug dealers are ruining the lives of innocent individuals, destroying families. These are those individuals who baqaida history canal, without being too harsh, there is always a way back. There is always a way back. But if you are involved in these things, fear Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. Ittaqullah. Fear Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. Make a U-turn. Make a U-turn before it's too late. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam ke hadith sharif ke alfaz mere samne is tariqe naal that ya ayyuhan nas tubu ila Allah qabla an tamut, that O people, maut se pehle toba karo bas. Today we are here, tomorrow we are gone. And when we are 6 feet under, your boys are not going to help you. When you are 6 feet under, the people whose lives you have destroyed, they will curse you. And on the day of Qiyamah, what face will we show to Allah Almighty and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Aur ye sharam ka maqam hai na, that today we find youngsters, 2 cars parked up next to one another. Obviously they're not exchanging Maltesers, are they? They're not exchanging Smarties and Milky Bars. 12 baje ji, Diyari, 1 baje, 2 baje, in our streets, where our mothers are, where our sisters are, where our wives are. Sharam karo. And this is why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said what? Hadith Sharif ke alfaz, we'll find this narration in Kitab al-Arba'in of Imam Abu Zakaria an-Nawawi, that this is what the previous Anbiya used to say to their followers, that if you have no shame, then do as you wish and please. Ye koi sharam nahi na, ye koi ghairat nahi na. If you have no shame, then do as you wish and please. We find that our streets are smelling of skunk. Our streets are polluted with drugs. Or istri canal youngsters who are involved in this. You have an opportunity to turn back to Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. Whether you're buying, whether you're selling. I'm not even going to go down the route of mentioning the verses of the Quran. The ayat that I recited in the khutbah from Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse number 90, Jao, tarjama paro. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala wazih taur says what? That ahle iman, O believers, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, innamal khamru wal maisiru wal ansabu wal azlam ridsum min amal shaitan. These are all acts from amongst the filthy, impure acts of the shaitan. Or innahu lakum aduwwum mubin. Shaitan is an open enemy for you. Shaitan is an open enemy for you. Ye 4 din ki zindagi hai na, 2 din ka mela hai na. So change yourselves before it's too late. Ask Allah Almighty for forgiveness. Ask forgiveness of those people whose lives you have ruined before it's too late. And I don't backtrack for a moment on the words that I've said, that these drug dealers are the scum of the earth. These drug dealers are murderers. And their janazah shouldn't be read. We find that in our communities we glorify such individuals. We fear such individuals. Oh, he's a made man. Made what? What has he made? Well, is he going to take his wealth with him into the grave? Is he going to take his cars with him into the grave? Bare padshah, bare istri kanal, kings and rulers have come in the past. Look at the examples that Allah mentions in the Quran of Fir'aun and Ad. Look at the examples of Samud and Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab. Puligeo. You think that you can walk on the streets like 10 men and no one can touch you? But don't forget that maut will come to you. And when maut will come to you, then one day, as I mentioned, you will have to present yourself in the court of Allah Almighty. The kera muh salsa, kera chera salsa. और आजकल सिर्फ एक ही करेंसी है ना, पैसा पैसा पैसा. ऐसा कुरान भी पैसा समझने या हदीस शरीफ भी सब कुछ पैसा ही है ना. Doesn't matter how we get it. halal और haram की पहचान ही कौन. And this is a topic within itself. Halal or haram ki pehchani koni. Lawful and unlawful, we're not willing to make the distinction. But sirf paisa hi ho ja. Alladhi jama'a malan wa addada. Somebody very profoundly said to me once, Buzurg sa na, the Buzurga which bari hikmat honi hai. He said to me once, Imam Sahib, the kafan doesn't have pockets. Kafan doesn't have pockets. The shroud doesn't have pockets, meaning you don't take anything with you. Mere pocket which bank card hai ji paise in. Maulvi sahib driving car door, aisa to bare samjhe apne aap ki. Lekin you don't take anything with you into the grave except your aqidah and your a'mal salihah. To us par tyano tawajjuh hi koni. The walidain, once again I address you that if you know that your son is dealing, if you know that your son doesn't have a job but he drives a 20,000 pound car, aapki zimmedari hai, aapki responsibility hai, that you deal with your son. He's destroying the lives of so many individuals. To say, ghairat koni, sharm koni, that you should at least address this issue with your son. Apna nak bachane vaste hai, apni izzat aur ghairat bachane vaste hai. Chalo, ye dunya mein to sani bari izzat hai na. Log kane Chaudhary sahab tha Raja sahab. Lekin qiyamat ke din par, दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَى وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَى. Or Quran says what? Sab Quran ka nachor hai na. يَوْمَ يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. This is a plea. This is a request that change your ways before it's too late. Do din ki zindagi hai bas. If you're not praying, start praying. Ramadan is around the corner. Don't wait for the first ilan that will be made. Already timetables are out. Don't wait for the ilan to be made. Rather change your ways from today. Ask Allah for forgiveness. It takes literally 2 minutes. And you know what the beauty is? That when you ask Allah Almighty for forgiveness from the heart, sincerely, with this ikhlas, then the slate is wiped clean. That's it. You're like a newborn baby. And then Allah Almighty will give you the opportunity to turn back to Him in different ways. Masjid is open. Take the opportunity. Read your 5 daily prayers. Ba jama'at. Apu khud paro. Bachya ki is tariqe nal targheeb diyo. Koshish karo. Mehnat karo. Dunya ne piche dori ta kya labna end vich? Kya anjam hai? You get nothing from the dunya. Dunya swallows you and spits you back out. But when you turn your direction and your way in life towards Al-Madinatul Munawwara, when your rukh is turned towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you become drowned in the ghulami and mahabbat of Nabi, dayar ishq mein apna maqam paida kar. Iqbal says what? Drown yourselves in the ishq and ghulami of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you will see how Allah honors you in the dunya, how Allah will honor you in the grave, and how Allah will honor you on the day of Qiyamah as well. Subhanallah. Bas. Enough is enough. Turn back to Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala before it's too late. And khud halal kamao or bachya ki bhi khwa lo. Don't underestimate this. That our children are a product of what we feed them. That if we're going to eat haram and then feed that to our children, the natija uwe liksi na. Allahu Akbar. आखिरी वाकया हजरत बाबा फरीदुद्दीन गंज शकर रहमतुल्लाह ताला नाम तो सुनिया उसी पाक पतन शरीफ के वली they left to go and study the deen. ये तरबियत की बात है वालिदैन. All of this rests on your shoulders. इमाम साहब कितना कुछ आ ही सकने उन तो लोग आसन जी बाबा सुभान अल्लाह बाने ठीक है लेकिन बाने कहन अब्बा जी आने होने से ना पुत्र तू बाना ठीक है लेकिन बाना कहवे तो गाली यही है ना. लोग आसे वाह वाह, कोई लोग आसे सुभान अल्लाह इमाम साहब hit the nail on the head, तो कोई लोग आने में मौलवी बाना सी in through one year out of the other. लोग के पर कोई अहमियत नहीं. We don't place our trust in people. लेकिन गाल क्या है? तरबियत की. तरबियत का असर है ना. तरबियत का असर है. बाबा फरीदुद्दीन गंज शकर रहमतुल्लाह ताला अलैह, their mother's name was Sayyida Bibi Kulsum Salamullah alayha. When Baba Fariduddin, akhri gal hai, fir sunta panne ha, when Baba Fariduddin Ganj Shakar Rahmatullah alayhi left their home to go and study the deen, 20 years they studied the deen. 20 years they went and studied the deen. When they returned home, they said to their mother that Ammi Jan, during this period of how many years? 20 years, I've not done qaza of a single tahajjud salah. हाय 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 हाय, वो कहाँ थे और हम कहाँ है। मरी मरी तो फजर पढ़ने और बाकी नमाज अल्लाह ही जाने। टाइम कौनी जी, टाइम कौनी, टाइम कौनी जी, टाइम कौनी, नमाज वास्ते टाइम कौनी। You're busy chasing rizq and you've forgotten the razik. You're busy chasing rizq but you've forgotten the razik. Itna time hi koni, 5 minute hi koni that you can take your head and place it on the ground and say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. Bahral mein us taraf jana hi na chana, sirf touch and go. And when son said this to the mother, mother responded by saying that beta ye tera kamal nahi, ye mera kamal hai. हाय हाय हाय, तवज्जो है ना, ये तेरा कमाल नहीं, ये मेरा कमाल है. Son asked the mother, iltija in the court of the mother, what do you mean by this? जवाब में सबक है, आखिरी जुमला है. Mother said to the son, the beta, when I used to feed you, when I used to give you milk, I used to be in the halat of wudu. I used to be in the halat of, yani when I used to give you milk, I used to be in the halat of wudu. When you have mothers like this, then you have sons like Baba Fariduddin and Shakar Rahmatullah alayh. तो आजकल क्या कावन गेट, तो दे कावन गेट दियो तो फिर समझो एंड विच सिर्फ काव एंड गेट ही होसी. इस जुमले पर अपनी गल समेटना. अल्लाह तबारक व तआला समझने नी और अमल करने की तौफीक अता फरमा. हस्बुनल्लाहु व निअमल वकील.
يا إمام الرسل يا سندي أنت باب الله معتمدي فبدنياي وآخرتي يا رسول الله خذ بيدي